This is going to be a hip external rotation stretch to improve the posterior capsule flexibility in your hip joint. This is an advanced exercise or stretch because it is in the 90-90 position, which requires quite a bit of flexibility. If you cannot get into this position comfortably, there are a couple modifications I will demonstrate with yoga blocks. But if you still cannot get into it comfortably, or you're feeling a lot of closing angle symptoms like I explained in this video, this is too progressed for you. We need to find a different position that works better for you. With that being said, we're gonna start with the stretch. We're gonna show you how to get into it, what you should feel, what you shouldn't, and then we're going to end with PAILs, rails, contractions, which are the strength portion that we always add to stretches to make sure that you're improving your flexibility with usable ranges of motion and strength at those end ranges. So first to start, we're going to get into the 90-90 position. If we are working on hip external rotation, we are working on the front leg here. You can let the back leg kind of be in whatever's comfortable for you. If you don't want to be in the full 90, you can let it bend kind of behind you. But the front leg, I want you to pay attention to. I want 90 degrees here, and I typically like to have about 90 degrees at the ankle as well, just to have a nice clean range of motion so we are not compensating as much with our ankle when we do our contractions. From there, if this is already feeling pinchy for your hip and you feel some of that groin symptoms, you may want to elevate your butt on a yoga block and then elevate your knee on another yoga block. So now we are out of it a little bit. If that feels okay, you can always play around with this position as well. There are different options depending on the height of your yoga block, but these are something that you would want to play around with and see what you can feel. The goal of the exercise or the stretch is to feel a deep glute, like deep in your butt cheek sensation of stretching, avoiding pinching in the front leg. From here, to actually lean into the stretch, we are going to stay tall with our spine. So we're going to think about somebody pulling us from the top of our head towards the ceiling. Then we are going to lean forwards with our belly button leading the way. Your butt cheek, the one that is stretching, if that's your right one like me, that's the right one that you should think about, should reach for the back wall. So you are leaning forward, staying tall, butt cheek is reaching for the back wall, and now you're gonna feel a nice deep glute stretch. There is no point or sense in kind of coming down to here. That is adding your spine into the range of motion or the stretch, and that means it's no longer going to be a glute stretch. Now we are just loading your spine, which is not the point of the exercise. So stay tall, stay long, find a nice deep right glute stretch or the hip that you're working on. Avoid any closing angle symptoms in that groin. From here, you're gonna hold the stretch for about 2 minutes. The further you walk your hands, the less support your hands are going to give, the more intensity you're going to get with the stretch. Please don't push into that if this is new for you. You wanna start at a lower intensity to work yourself up. From here, once the 2 minutes have been up and you've been relaxing and sinking into that stretch, we are going to do PAILs rails. The PAILs rails contraction is first going to be thinking about your ankle down. If it was on a scale, we want to think about pressing into the scale, trying to make the scale weigh more or the numbers go up. We are thinking about this movement, rotating that thigh into internal rotation. So you're going to really feel like you're trying to scoop that leg down and out. Those muscles in that deep glute that you were just stretching, you should feel them contract. You're gonna ramp that up to a desired intensity. We're gonna hold for about 20 to 30 seconds or the prescribed amount of time. Then you are going to ramp down from there. That was your PAILs contraction. Then we follow up with rails. So rails is now going to be the muscles or the tissues that would pull us into a deeper stretch. So that's going to be what would pull us into external rotation, which is this movement of our hip or rotating that thigh out. So you're just going to imagine there's a scale under your ankle still. And instead of pressing into the scale, you're now thinking about lifting off the scale and you're pulling yourself deeper into the stretch. Your foot and ankle and leg are glued to the ground so they cannot lift, or you're setting yourself up like that. And so instead of being able to actually lift the leg, it is pulling you deeper into a stretch, but we are thinking about rotating that leg as much as we can and holding that at the prescribed intensity for about 20 to 30 seconds or the prescribed amount of time, and then ramping back down from there. We want to make sure that as we are trying to rotate, we are not hiking our pelvis, because that is once again involving our spine, which is not the point of this exercise. So try to reduce those compensations and really just focus on the thigh muscles doing the work. that would be one round of PAILs rails, doing PAILs first, then rails. Depending on where you are, that might be where you start, but of course you can do additional sets as you progress in the future.